Hello and welcome to the Diamond Report for Saturday, July 8th, 2017. This is your host, Doug Diamond. We are looking at Earthquake 3D once again. Last 48 hours worth of earthquakes globally. Right now we're kind of zoomed in on Montana. We had another magnitude 4.4 quake this morning at about 7:30. That's Central Time. 4.4, right on the heels of that magnitude 5.8, almost 6.0 the other day, 2 days ago now. Same place, right near Yellowstone. It's probably just an aftershock. And as you can see, we're seeing movement along the North American Craton as well in these other areas. In Oklahoma, primarily, that's going to be because, well, the crust is weakened there in so many places in much of Oklahoma because of fracking, which makes it more susceptible to movement when pressure transfers there. As I've said many times, Oklahoma is now the New Madrid. The New Madrid seismic zone is actually up here, not too far from where I am. I'm in Nashville over in here. However, Oklahoma will forever be the New Madrid, and not just Oklahoma, but also north central Texas and southern Kansas, and even into Arkansas and up here in Colorado, and all these places where they're fracking everywhere, and it's weakened the crust in all those places, and that's where pressure tends to transfer from once it comes in from the West Coast. It starts in the West Coast. Actually, it starts in the West Pacific and filters around the Ring of Fire, and once it hits the west coast of the U.S., it then goes eastward across the North American Craton, which you can kind of see it right here. You can see the outer edge. It runs down through right through here where Yellowstone is, clear down into Texas, and then curves back up around the New Madrid seismic zone, and then back down through these southern states through here and right up the eastern seaboard. I keep saying that over and over, but hopefully people are starting to pick up on it, and this 4.4 is just another aftershock from the near 6.0 the other day that we had, which sort of popped up out of nowhere, and I covered this on yesterday's earthquake update. I won't really get into that again, but just know that to me it's a little suspicious, not necessarily a man-made earthquake. I'm not saying that, but we do know for a fact that there was a 7.0 that happened a few days prior to the 6.0 down here. The 7.0 happened up here, and it got deleted from the earthquake feeds. In other words, it got memory hold. I don't think it was an accident either, because it seems to be what happened was we had a 7.0 up here that happened, and then it got deleted, and then a few days later we had the 6.0 down here at Yellowstone. Seems highly suspicious to me. And then not only that, basically right around the same time frame, and I covered this in yesterday's earthquake update, so forgive me, but basically the same time frame we had the magnitude 7.0, near 7.0 that happened in the Philippines, and just a day or two before that we had a 7.0 down here at Indonesia / Western Papua New Guinea, and that one also was deleted. And we know it was a real quake because it showed up on the several feeds, and then it got deleted, and then a day or two later we had the 7.0, I think it was 6.5 officially, that hit the Philippines. And if we go back in time here just a little bit, you can see that, let's see, just look at the larger quakes, and there it is right there. That's the one that did not get deleted from the feeds, but there was a larger set of rings than that over here for just a brief time. If you want to find out more about the deleted quakes, you can go, I've mentioned it on the Diamond Report, but you can also go see Dutch Sense's YouTube channel, or he's also on Twitch, where he's the one that actually noticed that they were there and then they got deleted. So I do think it's highly suspicious. Now since then we are looking at pretty normal movement, I would say, for the most part. we do have, in the Middle East, we do have another near 6.0. It's, actually, no, it's a 5.2, roughly. So, decent size earthquake there in the Middle East. Those quakes tend to filter westward. So they, you'll have these deep quakes happen in the West Pacific, and it filters around westward through Indonesia and Asia, eventually hits the Middle East, and then makes its way to Europe. And that's why we have so much activity across the Middle East and Europe, especially in Western Turkey and Greece and Italy. Those are places that seem to consistently swarm. Anyway, that's our brief earthquake update for tonight, and I don't really see anything else that's really worth going over, other than we do have several more deep quakes. Again, the deep quakes you can tell because the rings are stacked way up off of the globe, and the only reason those are significant is that the deep quakes often result in, well, they almost always result in shallow, larger movement in the next week to 10 days. So you see these several. We have this one here, this one here, this one here, and that one there. All in the Western Pacific. Those are all probably in the 4.0 range, maybe slightly bigger than a 4.0, maybe 4.3, which will result in a 5.3. Most likely, you can tack on usually 1 magnitude, sometimes as much as 2 magnitudes, but I would stick, being how these are magnitude 4s that are stuck so far up off the globe here, I would probably stick with a 5.3 or so as a result of each one. So each one of these, so there's 4 right there that are deep quakes, so you're probably looking at basically 4 more 5.0s that are going to happen in the coming days. But 5.0s in this area is all very normal. As you can see, there's a lot of earthquake rings in this area. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on to the headlines. And as this is Saturday, it is another day where Dane Wigington at geoengineeringwatch.org has put forth a new global alert news. So if you go to geoengineeringwatch.org, scroll down here to the recent column on the right, global alert news for July 8th. And if we go to that page, you can listen to the hour-long program right here. It's built right into the page, so it makes it easy. And he says, now these are Dane's words, not mine, first world populations like those of the U.S. and Western Europe have so far shown little awareness, understanding, or concern in regard to the rapidly converging challenges we collectively face. So many are all too willing to embrace and accept any lie that they are fed that fits with their ideology and comfort zones. False data, power structure propaganda, and media mass deception cannot hide the unimaginable realities we face for much longer. What does Mr. Trump mean when he says he will make America great again? Is Trump's pledge to revive the nuclear industry as part of that promise? The same nuclear industry that has, along with the U.S. military, already officially dumped 90,543 containers of nuclear waste into the world's oceans? How many other countries have done the same? And all of this toxic waste dumping is on top of the rest of the nuclear contamination parade that is going on all over the globe from catastrophes like Fukushima and Chernobyl. And then there is, of course, the accelerating climate engineering insanity to contend with. What is occurring on that front? From countless directions, the human race is pulling the noose around its own neck. If we destroy the planet's life support systems, we destroy ourselves. Can the masses be awakened in time to turn the tide? The July 8th installment of Global Alert News is below. No matter how long and arduous this critical battle for the greater good is, no matter how insurmountable the challenges we face seem to be, there's only one option: to face the storm head on with all the strength and determination we can collectively summon. There is no turning back. We will sink or swim together. We must all do our part. Very wise words indeed from Mr. Wigington. And speaking of Geoengineering Watch and Mr. Wigington, I would like to bring your attention to the bumper stickers, here we go, that I have, says this is climate engineering. Here, I'll just read it. This is climate engineering. Help us stop this toxic spraying. Geoengineeringwatch.org. So there it is. There. We don't have as much of a glare now. These are high glossy type bumper stickers. Now, you might ask why I'm showing these. Am I selling them, trying to make money? No. No, I have not sold one bumper sticker, but I have given away literally hundreds and hundreds of these things. So if you would like a free bumper sticker, just send me a message either on YouTube or Facebook, and I will be happy to mail you a bumper sticker or two. Just let me know how many you want. I would like to keep it to the continental US and Canada if possible, just because shipping can get a little expensive. But definitely let me know if you want a bumper sticker, and just know that I get them in bulk. There's a whole big batch of them right here. This is like 200. So I have loads. If you want some for your friends or for your family, or you want to just basically go up to somebody and surprise them and slap it right on their car without telling them, I don't actually advise that, but it would be kind of funny. Just let me know. Just send me a message. I would need your mailing address. Obviously, I can't send them to you unless I have that, but I promise I won't stalk you or anything weird like that. Just let me know how many you want, and I'll be happy to send you some. U.S. bombers carry out exercise in South Korea in show of force to North Korea. Practiced attack capabilities by releasing inert weapons at the Pilsung range. Muslim FM radio station broadcasts 25 hours of Al-Qaeda speeches calling for a holy war, quote, by mistake. Iman FM transmitted 25 hours, more than a day, worth of sermons from Anwar al-Awlaki, a hate preacher killed by a U.S. drone strike in 2011. I'm sure it was just an oversight on their part, and they didn't mean to make a mistake for 25 solid hours. Melania Trump sits beside Putin at the G20 banquet. Trump confronted Putin on hacking the election, which the Russian leader flatly denied. That's because he had nothing to do with it. That was a complete and total fabricated lie made up by CNN and the rest of the fake news. MSNBC, CNN forced to eat crow after learning Trump pressed Putin on election meddling. Some early reports that sound like he doesn't intend to bring up meddling, they said. That's on the Daily Caller. Trump says the meeting with Putin was, quote, tremendous. White House leaks that threaten national security stream out a rate of 1 a day. Trump has repeatedly denounced the accuracy and propriety of the leaks. Trump also says Ivanka's life would be easier if she wasn't my daughter. It might be the only bad thing she has going, he said. Pretty funny. Muslim immigrants must not assimilate, says progressive ally Linda Sarsour. That's on Breitbart. Our number one and top priority is to protect and defend our community, is not to assimilate. Immigration without assimilation is invasion. Never forget that. This video has 10 million views exposing CNN rating slump. Donald Trump is blocking a G20 agreement because it has a line about climate change. It's on The Independent. And of course, you can't have a legitimate discussion about climate change unless you talk about, first and foremost, geoengineering/climate engineering, which no one will talk about. But it is the foremost reason that we have such a thing as climate change. Arkansas is the only state to submit voter data to the Trump election panel. That's according to reports, and it's on The Hill. Molotov cocktails and iron bars. G20 protests rage on in Hamburg. 200+ police injured, and at least 143 people were detained. That's on RT. CNN caught in I guess, another giant new Russia lie. Stick a fork in CNN. They're done. And speaking of CNN, old man punches out Weasley CNN reporter. The meme war is hot, and CNN is the target. Maxine Waters says, quote, "I'm taking the gloves off on Trump." That's pretty funny. It seemed to me like she took those off. Well, I don't think she ever actually put them on when it had to do with Trump. Ron Paul predicts the stock market will collapse in the next 3 months. Whites and Christians are an endangered species, according to a Deep State magazine. That's from Dave Hodges. Merkel sends in the army. Tanks roll into Hamburg as violent G20 protesters set city alight. Deep State sabotage. Trump is facing 7 times more national security leaks than Obama or Bush. That's on Breitbart. Resolutely opposed. China fumes after U.S. supersonic bombers fly over disputed South China Sea. That one's on RT. The FBI says hackers are targeting U.S. nuclear facilities. An amber warning is issued. Putin's assessment of Trump at the G20 will determine our future. That's from Paul Craig Roberts. And a huge explosion recorded on the moon. NASA warns the Earth is next. This apparently has something to do with a meteor impacting on the surface of the moon. But the flat earthers would tell you that the moon is just a holographic projection, which of course is a load of BS. Bravo Sierra, Bruce Springsteen, Barbra Streisand, or Bernie Sanders. And as far as I'm concerned, you can send all those people to the moon. A Muslim DNC delegate calls for jihad against Trump, and she hasn't been arrested. That's from Dave Hodges. And from shtfplan.com, the end of the cycle. The government will gladly enter a war to cleanse the balance sheet and cull the herd. Yes, they will. And on Zero Hedge, 2 B-1 bombers hold live fire drills over Korean peninsula and show off U.S. attack capabilities. They are definitely stretching us and inching us closer and closer to this war with Korea. It seems inevitable at this point. I was listening to an interview with L.A. Marzulli on the Hagman and Hagman show a day or so ago. Actually, I think it was broadcast on the 6th, but I didn't hear it until today. L.A., who is a super nice guy, I got to hang out with him a bit on the trip to Peru. But L.A. did mention in that interview that a person that was high up in the military that contacted him informed him that the next war will absolutely be Korea. So it sounds like there's going to be some sort of false flag or something that's going to draw us into this war. It does seem inevitable at this point. I hope something changes. Burnt out barricades and smashed up buildings. Hamburg awakes to carnage after night of G20 riots. That's on RT. Americans have the right to film police in public, a court rules. That's on RT. Trump insists Britain will thrive after EU exit as he agrees Brexit trade deal with May. Angela Merkel's dreadful attempt at networking with Donald Trump blows up as he scolds the EU. Not this again. Angela Merkel caught rolling her eyes at Vladimir Putin during the G20 chat. That's on the Express. List of 75 corrupt and or potentially criminal actions identified in John Podesta's email. It's on the Gateway Pundit. So do you think anything will happen? I mean, will they actually prosecute the guy, or will they just let it slide like they do Hillary Clinton? Well, I would probably have a educated guess saying that it would be the latter. I think they'll let it slide, and I don't think he'll ever pay a price. Not in this lifetime. Did Putin fear NATO would shoot his jet as he flew to G20? Records show his plane took a 300-mile detour to avoid flying in NATO airspace. How about that? I think he trusts NATO about as much as I would too. Obama holdover ethics chief resigns and joins a Soros-funded NGO. I will be going to London. Trump vows he'll visit the UK despite London mayor's demand that he stay away, as he predicted a very powerful deal on trade. Baton Rouge cop who was injured in a deadly ambush sues Black Lives Matter and 5 of its leaders for inciting violence against police. An absolute must-read from Pizzagate to gold rigging. This is on sgtreport.com. And for those of you who say there's no such thing as global warming, Sweltering temperatures in Phoenix reach record-breaking 117 degrees Fahrenheit as heat death toll climbs to 60. 6-0. Trump stands alone as 19 of the G20 leaders stick with Paris Agreement on climate change, and German Chancellor Merkel brands U.S. decision to quit, quote, regrettable. Yeah, well, the Paris Climate Agreement had no mention of the ongoing climate engineering programs, so therefore it really had very little teeth anyway, and I'm totally fine with us not being involved in it. Police chief warns London is modern slavery hotspot, 13,000 victims forced into labor and sex. That's on the Free Thought Project. And from Pamela Geller at freedomoutpost.com. Christian 3-year-old baby girl raped by Muslim neighbor. 10 ways your visit to the hospital can get you killed. That's on Natural News. Amazon has a death grip on the U.S. economy, capturing nearly $1 out of every $2 Americans spend online. ER nurse drops truth bombs about vaccine reactions. Hamburg destroyed, G20 protest like civil war, with masked rioters smashing all in its path. U.S. to conduct another THAAD test amid growing Korean Peninsula tensions. That's on RT. Liberals come unhinged after Ivanka briefly sits in for her father at the G20 session. That's on the Gateway Pundit. Soros-funded media panics over immigration enforcement. Many states have not reached pre-2008 GDP levels. Debt repudiation is the only answer. That's from Dave Hodges. Major Imam tearfully admits on TV, Muslims commit terrorism. I blame it on my religion. That's on Freedom Outpost. Wow, an actual little flash of truth in reality. That's pretty interesting. U.S. braced for North Korea nuclear attack as it launches missile strike dry run. Europe is underestimating the scale of migrant crisis and could be flooded by millions of Africans in a biblical exodus unless urgent action is taken, says a top official. The war on cash, Australia considering chipping seniors' money to stop them from saving. Who's going to tell him he can't? Kim Jong-un smokes a cigarette right beside North Korea's experimental ICBM that is filled with highly flammable liquid rocket fuel. Well, it doesn't take a rocket scientist. Why is Trump spouting the deep state narrative at the G20 conference? That's from Dave Hodges. As is this story. Big Pharma's plot to medicate 50 million government school children with dangerous drugs. And from Zero Hedge, the U.S. has been at war for over 220 in 241 years. Okay, that's all for the Diamond Report today. Thanks for listening and watching, and I will see you tomorrow.